It's soft. It's like super, super soft. Hi, everyone.
Hey, everyone. So today we're going to be planting up some Pinpoint Blue False Cypress.
Blue beauties. And super excited, like always, to do a planting. We are going to, right now what we're concentrating on is winter interest. But before we get going with this, we want to talk about, how long we've been wanting one of these beautiful evergreens. Of course, the color. That's why we wanted one for so long. But we never had any luck finding in the nurseries any, one of these guys or two at that.
Yeah.
But,
So these false cypress are a little bit hard to find. We were actually planning on doing one of these, but we couldn't find these, so we were gonna go with the normal hollies or evergreens like we normally do during this time of year. Last year we had the castle wall.
Yeah, and we use them for winter interest up in the front. That's where we're going to plant.
Yeah.
Why we're planting these for the front of the home.
Yeah. So,
but you got lucky that day.
Yeah, so we opted to wait. I waited till it got a little bit cooler, waited till fall came around, and we decided just to go take another trip at the garden center to see what they actually had. And, to my surprise, I walked around one of the corners, and there was actually 5 of these. If you keep track of us on Instagram, you'll see that we posted a photo where there was a roll of these. Actually, there was more than 5. I took 2, so there was 7. But we were surprised to find these because we had been looking for these for quite some time now. And I think Angie absolutely fell in love with them. I did too, because we're going with a more bluish tone this year for Christmas.
Yes, well, I want something different for the house. We have a red house. The color of the house is red. So, if you have a red brick house or an orangey color house, this color of evergreen is just wonderful against those colors. So I just wanted something that looked a little different and stood out more in a very pretty way. So what we're going to do is go ahead and start planting, but we are going to show you the urns. We did order urns, I'm going to say around maybe spring or summer.
Yep, so the urns we actually got from Crescent Garden Company. I'm going to pick up the box here because it's a pretty big box that came in. This is the box that comes in.
We've had them for a while.
Yep, I can link it down below, but this is called the Festonata urn and Caviar Black. Great urns to have, especially for our zone here. They're double layered, so they're not insulated completely, so that actually helps from preventing the frost to actually freeze up the soil, or the
frost
urns
protection
to actually freeze up and crack, because they're hollow inside, so they're not going to completely freeze all the way around and they won't crack or anything like that. Another reason why we went with these is because, as Angie showed before, we had the urns before that were from resin.
Yes, we had, which we still have them, and I haven't transplanted this one. It's in some urns that we bought from Lowe's. Beautiful urns, beautiful, but they warp with the sun. It got way too hot up in the front, which is a southern exposure area, and it was just too hot. So we went ahead and picked these, and they have a 10-year warranty, I think, if I'm correct. It says it in there.
Yeah, so the great thing about these is the 10-year warranty. If anything happens to them, they melt, they warp. Whatever happens to them, we can use a warranty on these, so we're pretty excited to use these.
We thought we'd share with you, what you guys are always asking where we get our pots and things from, right? Our containers. And, we thought this would be something that maybe if you guys have the same issue with other, with containers or urns. Plus, we really, really wish we could have bought something a little bit more, I'm going to say something that lasted a lot longer, like a stone or something, but because we move around a lot,
we don't want to.
Everything breaks. That's why we don't have a lot of stuff in the garden that's decorative. But anyways, these are perfect. So so how we're planting evergreen, there's another thing that I wanted to explain about urns. So when you're planting evergreens and urns, you have to be very mindful that the shape of the urn. Of course, you can't have these guys in there forever. It's just temporary. Well, probably the most be 2 years, and then we bring them out. But why I say be careful when you plant in urns is that they put out a lot of roots. Now, it's going to be hard when you pull them out because of the shape of the urn. These are a little bit wider, so I don't think it'll be that much of a problem, but still be very mindful of that when you use urns. You might have to sometimes even destroy the urn if they don't want to come out, the root ball.
So luckily for us, we're not going to have these guys in there too long, because it's only going to be a 1, maybe 2 year period here. But we'll be able to transplant these guys whenever we get a home or wherever we move to, is we'll be able to transplant these guys somewhere and not cause too much trouble for it.
So let's go ahead and get planting, and we can explain while we're planting everything about this beautiful evergreen. So we're going to add the bark mulch for more drainage. This type of evergreen loves to be in well-drained soil. It does not do well in moist, in very, very wet soils. So that's why we want to make sure that we have it in something that's going to drain really well, especially because it rains a lot here. I really don't worry about it too much because they're in containers, and containers, you know, will drain well, but it does help. So how much do you usually put in there of mulch?
So I usually do about 3 to 4 inches of mulch at the bottom just to give it that added drainage on the bottom, and it doesn't sit, if it does sit in any water, it's in the mulch and not in the actual soil at the moment, and it can soak up whatever it needs during that time.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get the soil ready, and I'm gonna get the biotone. I almost forgot about that.
Yep.
Okay, so here's the soil, the potting soil.
All right, so I'm starting to add the soil in here, but before I completely fill it up, I'm gonna go about 1/4 of the way. I'm gonna add some biotone in here. All right, so again, before I completely fill it up, I wanna kind of measure out where it's actually gonna go. That looks about right there, so we can actually push it down just a bit more.
And I always say get yourself some really good soil. We like to use the Espoma organic soil because it actually helps with the moisture, but not to the point where it's super wet. Like I said, these type of evergreens do not like that.
Yeah.
See how the roots are?
Yep. All right, so those
not
roots
bad.
don't look bad at all.
Oh, not bad at all. We're not gonna disturb those.
All right, so as we're planting this this evergreen right here, the questions that come to mind probably be, is it too late to be planting these evergreens? Right now, in our zone, if you're in a zone 7 or above, you're actually perfectly fine to start planting right now up until a very hard frost, because once that ground starts to freeze, then it's gonna be pretty bad to start trying to put anything in the ground. Luckily, we're doing containers here, so it's a little bit easier. It's gonna be a lot more you know, warmer as far as when we start to plant right now, because we're actually using soil from a bag and not actually trying to put it in the ground when the ground is frozen. But again, if you're in a zone 7 or above, you're gonna be perfectly fine to try to plant any evergreen in the ground right now, as long as your soil is not completely frozen.
We're always around this time still planting perennials and evergreens. It doesn't really freeze the ground here. If it does freeze, it lasts us a couple, maybe just a day.
Yes.
At that or 2. We really haven't experienced anything more than that. And when it snows here, it snows, it doesn't stick. It stays, a day or 2?
Yes.
And then it's gone. So it's really not a cold place here in Virginia, which if I didn't say, we're in Virginia and we're a zone 7B. So this Pinpoint Blue False Cypress is hardy zones 5 through 7. So it's perfect for our zone here, 7B. We always try to do that. That's one of the things that we advise. Get evergreens that are zones below than what your zone is. That way they can pull through winter. And this one's perfect.
Yeah.
It's a 5. It gives us a very good gap, you know, for them to be okay and withstand the cold weather here.
Definitely. Now, if I didn't talk about it before, this Pinpoint Blue can actually grow to about 15 to 20 feet, and it needs about 9 feet of spacing if you're gonna put this in the landscape anywhere. But it's an absolutely beautiful plant. I love the color. I love the blue the blue tones that it actually has. It's a feathery texture to the foliage here.
Very narrow, so it's very easy to fit in small spaces. We don't have, a big area, so this is perfect for us here in our garden.
Yep.
We're actually using it in the front. You'll see where we put it, the entrance. Okay, now to mulch. I'm not going to decorate them at the moment. We're getting ready to start decorating for Christmas, but the whole point of the video was just to show you how to plant an evergreen, in containers.
Yeah.
And, a little bit of know-how on what to do around this time of year, especially in this zone 7B. And that's really it. I am going to go ahead and decorate for Christmas. We're getting there. We're moving along to that already. Got to get our Christmas trees and the Christmas tree going to indoors, and just all the fun that we have around the holidays. But of course, we love to decorate the outdoors too. And I always love to have, for some reason, it's just something so special to have actual evergreens in the home and in your garden. We have a small garden, so our way of bringing in evergreens is in containers.
Yep.
And that's what we both love to share so much, that you can, even if you have a small garden, there is other ways to be able to enjoy these beautiful plants in your garden. Now, you know, you could be done with them, showing them off for winter up in the front to give that beautiful winter interest, or in your backyard. And then coming spring, you can find a place for them and pot them up. You know, place them in the ground somewhere where you want them forever. That's not our case. We will be done here in a few years, and then we'll go ahead and move on to another home, hopefully our permanent home this time around.
Yes.
And then, you know, either we take them with us or we just pass them on to somebody that's going to be able to have them in their home. Oh, you know what I almost forgot to tell them? The watering. Something I'm always forgetting to tell you. So watering. When do we want to water them?
So
as soon as they're planted, for sure.
Yeah, as soon as they're planted, for sure. Now, I didn't get a chance to talk about the top layer of mulch. What we use a shredded mulch on top. We use a bark mulch on the bottom. But the reason I do the mulch right now is because it's going to retain a lot of water, and because winter is coming pretty fast. In other zones, you're going to get freezing temperatures. You're going to get the ground that's going to stay solid frozen. Here, we don't have that so much because the temperatures don't stay consistently low enough to completely freeze it. But as the water starts to freeze, you want to keep in water until the ground completely freezes. So during that time, these evergreens can take up that water through the roots and provide enough nutrients and water for the plant. Otherwise, if it freezes without any watering, you're gonna start to see this taking up all the nutrients through the roots, and instead of putting the energy up here, you're gonna start to see some needles fall off and try to die back.
It'll stress out, and there's where you start to lose evergreens.
Yes.
So it's very important to water. Now, do we continue to water? It rains a lot here, so we get very lucky.
Yep.
We usually don't have to water at all in winter because it rains here quite a bit. But we do keep our eyes open. We do come out here and feel the pot, stick our finger in, you know, through the soil, make sure that it's moist. If we notice that it's not moist, you have to be always aware that there is wind. The wind can dry, especially the pots right away. So you want to come and give them a drink of water if of course, like Ambrose is saying, if the soil is not frozen. Once it freezes, you stop the watering, and, you know, if your soil comes back to, you know, being, you know, if it's not frozen, then you can water again.
Correct.
Which, that's what we have to do when it's, you know.
Yeah, around here we do. It gets pretty warm once the cold winter gets done with. We start rolling into, you know, end of February, March, and it starts to just warm right back up. It doesn't stay again.
You just don't want it to be dry at all. That's the main thing, and just keep them moist. Okay, so let's continue to get going with the second one.
All right, so we're done with the second one. Pretty excited to get these out in the front. We're gonna go ahead and take these over to the front and start removing our fall decor. We won't do any winter decorations right now, like Angie said, but these are definitely gonna go up to the front because we have those front containers already done at the bottom. We wanna have that mimic, and then we'll get started with our Christmas decor, hopefully pretty soon here in one of the videos. But pretty exciting. So we're gonna go ahead and take this one up to the front and get that set up. We're very glad that you guys joined us here. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's always fun doing some evergreens. We always have a blast doing evergreens because I know
love having the green, the green, because it just comes in so many colors. You know, green is not just green. There's foliage of every types and colors, and it's very pretty to have that, to be able to enjoy that in winter. Yeah, one thing that I'm really looking forward to is having some snowfall on some of these evergreens, especially like these North Pole arborvitaes. Absolutely look beautiful. The birds like to hide in these during winter too, so it's pretty exciting to come back here and see this. And then I have this in the front. I think it's gonna be great. But again, that's gonna do it for the video, guys. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys in the next one.